is a beautiful Wednesday here in Lagos State, Nigeria, the 17th day in the month of November 2020, and I'm delighted to welcome you to Newspaper Review on High Impact Television. I am Sarah Owusu-Anta. Right now, I have my guest live with me in the studio, and we'll be taking a look at the dailies together. We'll be having conversations on major issues this morning. I have Segun Fayomi Alex with me this morning. Thank you for joining us on the review.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah.
All right, without much ado, let's delve straight into what we have. The big conversation, the major conversation that has to do with the report, the judicial panel set up in Lagos State on the NSAS protest and all of that. They submitted their report to the governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, on Monday, the 15th of November 2021. To begin with, when you saw this a year after, just on the 20th of October last month, we celebrated the 1-year remembrance, and the panel has been set up for over a year now.
Yeah.
How did you react first when you got the report of the panel submitting their report 1 year after the whole incident?
I think the panel did a great job. My reaction first was like, at last, right? That we have a report, we have an official report. Yeah. For some of us, we understood what happened on that very fateful day, right? As to debunking what is true and what is virtual and what is not real. And for some of us, we understand the fact that what DJ Switch had done cannot be undone in the sense that you are reporting a live event via Instagram Live. Unlike, as the minister and some other persons within the government have said, oh, this is doctor, this is not. But I think overall, now we have an official document to say what happened at the toll gate was actually a massacre. So we have an official name to call what happened at that scene of crime. It's a scene of crime, obviously. And so I think so far so good from what we have seen from the report. I think the panel had done a good job to be able to come up with a rigorous process or come through a rigorous process and to, lay out the facts that they are able to get. And despite all form of, incidents around truncating the truth or the whole investigation. So I think now we have something tangible, to have deliberations about, to inform public policy about the way to go, what government should do, how to undo something like this. Of course, this is not the first time we are experiencing things like this where, government would have used a very wrong approach, either tactically or warfare or whatever approach in dealing with civil issues. And I think we are making some good way with what the panel had come up with.
But regardless of the reports that the panel has, brought up, the Chief of Defense Staff in person of General Lucky Rabo in the meeting stated on Tuesday evening that only a white paper, can confirm, and he tagged it as the alleged Lekki killing. And the white paper is now set to be released. As of yesterday, it was set to be released in 14 days, which is 2 weeks, but now we have 13 days to go.
Yeah.
How do you react to this comment by the CDS?
Yeah, so I think the context of 14 days can also still be debated because the last one was supposed to take 6 months. It took a year. And then, of course, they may have to say, oh, the 14 days it should be working days, right? So, but I'm sure the white paper will come out. Regardless of what the stand of the federal government is, and regardless, the state government has done their part, right, in commissioning the panel and seeing it through. Yeah. And I think that's one of the major points of conversation around that, they applauded the state government for doing that and seeing it through. And I think I appreciated that. Now we have one step, and then they came up with another step. And yesterday, I was reacting to that news somewhere on social media when I saw that Babajide Sanwo-Olu said, oh, they have to come up with another white paper. And I was like, what is whiter than the report in front of you, right? Because I there's this thing, and this is me speaking about the mind of most people on the streets or the youths that are most concerned about this whole situation, that we would have something to deal with, but the government will come up with an alternative thing. And in the mind of the people, this truncate the trust that they have in their government.
So sorry to butt in now. You know, considering this white paper, there are some speculations and reactions to this. And some persons are of the opinion that the push or the call for the white paper is to ensure the accuracy of this document, considering how sensitive this issue is. Does that hold water?
So if you are talking about accuracy, then we have to try to define what accuracy means. Accuracy would come from the original document, right? So what's more original than the report submitted or the edited report that is going to come out of it? The white paper
can't be so sure that it will be edited, though.
The white paper is just like an excerpt of the report for actions to be taken by government. It means that you have to go back to that original document and start, you know, taking out from what you have written. In a way, you may have to write. You won't write a white paper the same way you write the report, the official report. So in a way, I feel that is already altered. So we can't say the white paper is absolutely accurate. Yes, it may say the same thing in the report, but absolutely not the same way. And I think that's where most people that I've spoken with since yesterday are concerned about. That they felt like this may be another, you know, game from the angle. And this is not necessarily, you know, the state government, because the state government has absolutely done their part. The state government had the original report, but the white paper would now be what the state government would use with their executive council, and then they are going to send copies of it to the federal government and things like that. But as this move, like you said, as information move in whatever form or document that it travels with, there are chances that something get lost in the middle, something get missing in the middle. And that's where I think, in all sincerity, I have issues with. I feel like there are already actionables within the report submitted. This actionable can actually be taken seriously, can actually be discussed anywhere. We don't need to start thinking of, oh, let's take another 2 weeks, because we've taken enough time already. Everybody appreciated the work that has been done, but we've taken enough time already. And I was also sharing in a forum yesterday, like, oh, now, obviously, in 21st century, from what incident that just occurred, we can now have real conversations about what the cost of justice is actually is. Because what we thought was real, and some smaller body think, oh, this is not real. And that creates a lot of, you know, conversations around what is real, what is virtual, what is unreal. It created a lot of, you know, dimension to even the issue of information, how information is being treated. We've seen cases where just because of this case or just because of this situation, the Minister for Information had tagged, you know, people, had come after even institutions to say, oh, these institutions should be penalized, these institutions should be fined. And
now they are coming out to say the Minister of Information in person of Lai Mohammed should be sacked in regards to this. You see the possibility of that actually coming through?
I think it could be difficult under this administration, because we've seen this administration a bit laid back in terms of taking serious action against its officials when they err, right? So the aspect of personal and government or official accountability is not something to speak high of under this administration. So I don't see that happening, but I feel that one thing that people will be a bit relieved of is that people who had actually at one point in time spoken ill of that situation that happened, when they are supposed to be accountable and, you know, investigate into the situation on ground, and had come out and defended the force, you know. So again, this is a government that is very firm-handed on false information or promoting false information. But this very administration, obviously with this NSAS, had also shown evidence that they are actually the advocates of false information. So I feel strongly like these people, including the Minister of Information, should be humbled enough in his place of public office to come out apologize, and repeat to the public that he was actually wrong.
Okay, so we'll stay and wait for the white paper. But still on this issue now, talking earlier on, you talked about cost of justice, right? Now, I'd like to take something here that says the panel, this judicial panel, which was led by Justice Doris Okwobi, also recommended that all the soldiers, excluding Major General Omata, who were deployed in the Lekki toll gate, should be made to face appropriate disciplinary action, stripped off their ranks. This is a report by the Punch newspaper, and dismissed as they were not fit and proper to serve in any public or security service in the nation. How do you take this?
I think, again, I'm not taking anything away from the judicial panel, but I think, more serious action has to be taken than that. It's not enough for persons who had committed huge crime against humanity to just be, demoted, strip off their ranks, and then be dismissed. There must be some other consequences for the actions. And I think this has always been in the public domain when, people in uniform who have power to hold guns or arms would arm people or would come at civilians and will tell you, oh, I would do this to you, and nothing would happen.
Well,
because obviously the bottom line is something like this. So I think there must be more severe punishment for, what had happened. People who are actually, in line, or perpetrators, collaborators, and things like that. And the fact that even those who gave that order were not mentioned in that report. So it's something that I think should be looked into.
Okay, so it's just 13 days away.
Yeah.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for the outcome of the white paper. We'll definitely do a countdown and keep our fingers crossed. But very quickly, let's move away from the Lagos State EndSARS report. Let's move to an issue that has to do with education in Nigeria.
Yeah.
It is not new to say that the federal government and ASU have been on, they've been on loggerheads for a very long time now with regards to industrial action and all of that. And again, they're in the news as ASU has threatened fresh strike. Not just ASU now, NASU is also threatening strike, saying that the federal government has not met their demands all this while. And it's just, I think it was earlier this year that they called off their strike, and the federal government and ASU stated that they had an agreement, and they gave them a time frame that if it is not met at so time, they would fall back. At this point, what do you think can be done to, sort out this issue? Because let us put in consideration now the students. A lot of people were laid back. COVID laid a lot of students back. ASU as well. Now, thinking of embarking on another strike, what do you think can be done between the federal government and ASU now to ensure that there is a form of synergy between both parties?
I think, first of all, everybody has to learn their lessons, right? And I think that's one thing I struggled with in the Nigerian environment. We struggle so hard to learn so fast. If you remember, even what led part of the report and some of the facts findings that came out for the EndSARS was that it was because the youths are largely at home and they were not in school because of COVID-19 ending the strike. That also kind of exacerbates the actions and the activities around the EndSARS because people don't have so much to do. So this is a country where there's high level of unemployment, and then ASU, NASU, that is keeping most of the youths, are youths, engaged in school in some ways or in some form, strengthening another strike. We don't know how long this will take. I think it's high time for all of us to kind of come to the round table and rethink our education. Right now, Nigeria still is the highest, country in the world with highest number of people out of school. We have serious issues to deal with when it comes to education, and that's at the primary level, right? Now we are talking about the tertiary level. For me, I think the solution would be that the issue around strategy and leadership addressing education issue in this country has to be looked into and has to be redesigned. And we cannot, of course, in today's Nigeria, myself and we can debate this till tomorrow. The doctors just came out of their strike.
Yeah.
And this is because of there are no enough revenue, or there are no enough resources at government's disposal to do, or to, you know, to actually achieve all their agendas to satisfy the welfare of their workers. We know the issue of minimum wage that is below bar across the world in Nigeria. So to address this, we'll still continue to come back to this table if the ASU and the NASU want to stand on their feet, that, oh, you are depriving us of our rights or remunerations or whatever. We have states that have not been able to pay their workers for months. So the issue is revenue, is resources. Government will claim they don't have this money. So what do we do? In that light, I think ASU, the leadership of ASU, members in charge of you know, universities, should come together to rethink the operations, modalities to financing education, so that the universities in a way are self-sustained, or can self-sustain themselves, or can cater for certain things that meet the demand of the, you know, workforce within the university, so that they don't affect the larger population, which are the youth. And I think this is possible. We can redesign the economics around education. We can redesign the economics around university governance and operations. And I've seen cases where the university will report monies that are being paid into the universities doesn't actually go to the university purse. So this money has to go to somebody within the government and then redeployed back to the university. This can be reworked in such a way that facilitates more effectiveness within the institutions, so that they can effectively run and manage their staff. Okay. And then the accounts properly in some other way, you know, either to persons within the government or persons external auditor audits. And like we've seen in the past, when cases of auditing Unilag came up and then there are people indicted for embezzlement, this can be done. So I feel if the ASU, the NASU, the leadership within that circle would continue around the conversation of inadequate funding, allowances not being paid, and that's not the solution. The solution would actually come from they pushing for a way to redesign the operations and financing of education in Nigeria. Okay. And we can move forward from there.
Okay, you've given quite a very robust explanation on that. But coming down to in-house, it can also be gathered that even within the ASU, the NASU, the SANU, the NATU, they have grudges. I'm talking about the 22.1 billion naira end allowances that was allocated, you know, to them. And according to reports now, ASU has stated that they would take 75% of that allocation and leave the other bodies with 25%. And this led the SANU and NASU to embark on a 3-day protest. Then, still, it is an issue. So how can this internal, you know, issue between these bodies be resolved, even amongst themselves, before taking it to the federal government?
So for that, I think, again, we have to look into what this money is financing, right? And I think most of the time when people throw out statistics like this, it's become so weird because there are many information that are lost in the process. If ASU is coming out to say, oh, I'm taking 75% of whatever that this money we are expecting, right, is coming in for, then ASU should be able to state, or whichever body in charge of that money allocation should be able to state where this money is going into, right? As far as myself and you are concerned, we know that the ASU is actually the academic arm of this body. The SANU are the senior administrative staff, and then the NASU are the non-academic staff. Of course, within the ASU, we know that there are some of this money that will go into research. There are some of this money that will go into allowances. There are some of this money that will finance a lot of things outside, you know, either salary or whatever. So if that justifies the 75%, why not? We should be a community that supports and promotes research and advancement of our, you know, of our country, of our institutions and things like that. And for me, because I work within the research space, I know this takes a lot of money. But it's not enough for you to just come up and then say, oh, 75% of this money goes here. For anybody sitting on that table, anybody hearing, even for us hearing this or having this conversation, the first question we want to say is that, how would you take the larger share? Do you understand?
Yeah.
But the idea is that that money is going somewhere. Articulate thoroughly what area this money is going into, like break it down. When you break things down in a way that is more convincing and you can communicate it, we won't be discussing a larger chunk goes to this.
It also serves as a means of accountability.
Good. Okay. It kind of help people be able to say, oh, this is where money is going into. We are able to follow the money, as the case may be. But when things like this come, and this also applies to every other sector, right? Even in Nigeria, whenever we want to dissect the budget, we are quick to say, oh, 75% goes here, 20% goes there, this goes there. But there are no thorough, accountable mechanism to say, oh, these are what XYZ that this is taken care of. I think this can be resolved. Yeah,
everything still boils down to accountability.
Yeah, and proper,
proper funding,
communication, and leadership.
But we are hopeful, really hopeful, that ASUU, as well as SANU and NASU and every other educational body, institutional body, would not embark on another strike at this point.
Yeah, going wouldn't solve the problem. I think they have to come up with another strategy.
Yeah. There seems to be a planned meeting between the federal government and ASUU, so we get to see how that eventually plays out. Let's move away from that very quickly to Anambra. The governorship election held on the 6th of November 2021. It's about 13 days now. No, not up to 13 days. It will be 2 weeks by Saturday that the election held. And we had a candidate from APGA in person of Soludo Chukwuma, win majority of the votes, although he has not yet been declared the winner. Now, a disqualification suit has come up where Soludo is set to face the panel by the 30th of November. Now, in the suit, they claimed that Soludo indicated in the affidavit that he was contesting in Aguata 2 constituency seat, when in fact he was contesting for the Anambra governorship seat. And those that have filed the suit against him are saying that he should be disqualified from that. How do you take this coming up just after victory? Yeah.
So first, I think we are used to political drama after defeat in the political arena. It's not news. Even when people supposedly win a political office on a landslide, you still see the opposition. Like, it's not a tradition that the opposition have to come up with some other strategy to just discredit, the wins or the gain that we have in democracy. And I think it's not the best way to go, right? We have to appreciate the efforts of bodies like INEC that are doing their job in ensuring, smooth and good elections. So far, so good. Having said that, I think before the election, there was somewhere a petition that is close to what you just read out about he presenting a wrong documentation, certificate issues, and things like that. So this is not new strategy or tactic deployed by oppositions just to discredit, whoever had won the seat of the governor or any political seat. And yes, they would go to the party, to wherever they want to go to solve their problems, but I'm sure it may not hold weight, it may not hold water, because I'm sure the person in Soludo and his team are not also, they are not, how will I call it? They understand the game that is being thrown in the arena, and they are going to play it as much as possible in their favor. And I just feel like things like this always come back to us. It's like our legitimate institutions like INEC. You are just saying that INEC doesn't know what they are doing. That's the way I assess the information. Like, whoever had filed that petition is just saying, oh, whatever institutions that had gone through the documentation of those who had run for offices or had run for the political office, and that whoever is in charge of that process doesn't know their job, doesn't know what they are doing, doesn't know this, doesn't know that. And I think before now, the persons in the INEC that ran the election or that managed the election in Anambra had faced different kind of, situations before the election. And they've come out strongly to debunk some of this information as to where Soludo is at, where his qualification is at, what makes him to be able to run and things like that. And I think I'm quite confident in the job that INEC has done so far, so good in the last 8 years or more in sustaining the democracy that we have in Nigeria.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll wait till the 30th of
we wait for that. But,
to also see how. Okay, this is where we draw the curtain on the conversation with you this morning. Thank you so much, Segun Fayomi Alex, for joining us on the review today. It was a fantastic time
quite
having
good to be
you
here.
around.
Yeah, thank you very much.
As that's where we draw the curtain on the review this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Major thanks to our guest Segun Fayomi Alex for joining us on the review and for sharing his thoughts with us. And major thanks to you for staying tuned. Do remember that you can join us at 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. to get update of these stories and more stories on news around the globe. I am Sarah Osuanta.